And lastly, we have evaluate. So evaluate how that how your actions basically how is the situation now? Did your actions prove successful? Did they lead you into a worse situation? Basically, it wants you to see the results, and if for some reason you ended up in a worse situation than when you started, then you should probably start the whole process over again, or in most extreme cases, land. Okay, and I mean it's not. This model isn't something that you just need to know for a stage check or a check ride. This really does come into effect during flight. I'll even give you an example of when I personally had to use it. During a flight with my CFI, we did a cross country up near national park, or near a park near Seattle, and we realized that the conditions we were flying to, if we kept flying into them, we ran a high risk of flying into inadvertent IMC. So we detected that the weather was closing in on us. We estimated that basically if we kept flying, we were most surely going to wind up in the clouds, and that we needed to counter. We basically needed to turn around. We needed to figure out a way to get out of this. So we chose that the best option was to basically do just a 180 turn and fly directly out the way we came. We identified that simply the action that was the best action, because really there was no other way out of it. We did the action. Then, as we were flying away back into nice VFR conditions, we evaluated by looking back at where we were, and we could see that basically the entire cloud layer had just closed in. So we evaluated that we did our actions. We did a pretty good job of reacting to that situation. All right, our next topic is stress. And there's three types of stress that factor into aviation. It's physical, physiological, and psychological. Now, physical stress is basically associated with the environment. It could be the temperature, noise, could be a lack of, say, oxygen, hyperventilation. And basically, to put it simply, each person reacts differently. I know, I've definitely seen people get crazy during extremely hot weather. Just things like that. Definitely, a lot more people are sensitive to noise. Specific noise may stress them out. And I know definitely that a lack of oxygen would stress someone out. It would make it, cause them to hyperventilate, breathe rapidly. Next, we have psychological stress, and that's more associated with fatigue, maybe a lack of sleep loss, and maybe even physical fitness. Psychological stress, I know definitely that I become stressed more when I haven't had a lot of sleep, and just people seem to be more on edge when they're fatigued or tired. And lastly, we have psychological stress. Now, it's emotional factors, definitely, maybe a death in the family, the wife, giving you the wife or husband giving you a bad time, or even a breakup. I remember that I used to get stressed out all the time because I had my ex-girlfriend yell at me 24/7. So it's definitely things to think about. More specifically for us, for student pilots, even PCC pilots, how big is the workload that you're taking on? maybe, if say you have too many classes or you're trying to get too many things done at once, that will definitely stress you out almost more than anything. And it gets, things just keep building up, and it becomes harder to complete a task or even focus. Definitely, like I said before, in the I'm safe model, definitely, some ways to reduce stress. Some people take up meditation, even in some cases like yoga or some other exercise. Each person, each his own. Each person has a different sort of relief. Even just taking a nap or just taking some time of your day to just relax are some ways. Alright, so lastly, you see close here, we have hazardous attitudes. And there's 5 different attitudes. It's anti-authority, impulsivity, invulnerability, macho, and resignation. And basically, what these hazardous attitudes are is they're kind of traps that pilots can fall into. Certain ways of thinking. You may just do it out of habit, but it's important to identify. It's important to identify it when you experience these attitudes, and to correct it with the right antidote. So, anti-authority is don't tell me attitude. It would be like me saying, Hillsborough's rules are for suckers. I'm gonna fly the way I fly. Well, that's not true. The antidote is you should follow the rules. They've been built off of other people's misadventures, and they should be followed. Next, we have impulsivity. Do it quickly. For anyone who's, if you ever had to, say, navigate or deviate from a flight plan, you know that the quicker you do it, the less precise you will be. You want to take the time to make your calculations, find the safest route, etc. So the antidote is not so fast. Don't be quick to judge. Next is invulnerability. Basically saying, it's not going to happen to me. You read all these NTSB reports, all these stories of pilots making accidents, and you think to yourself, there's no way that can happen to me. I'm smarter than that. I've read about it. Well, that's not easier said on the ground than up in the air, basically. A lot of times you may find yourself flying into hazardous situations, and you just need to stop and think about the antidote, which is, it could happen to me. Next we have macho. That's a I can do it attitude, or even the worst words to ever hear in the cockpit is watch this. Basically saying, if one pilot can do it, then I can do it too. Well, that may not always be the case. Take for example, if you were to sit in the cockpit with a CFI with over 1,000 hours, and you watch them do, say, the perfect auto rotation, but they do it sort of a different way, and you try and copy that exact maneuver, even when it's beyond, say, your skill level, that's an example of macho attitude. So the antidote is taking chances is foolish. So if it's outside your skill level, definitely identify it. Even flying into risky situations is also foolish. And lastly, we have resignation. And resignation is basically it'd be the pilot saying, what's the use? I'm screwed anyways. Well, that's not true. Antidote is you are not helpless. You can make a difference. Until until it's all over, you still have a chance to fix everything. you are not helpless. Okay, so just to review what we've gone over. I'm safe. Are you capable of flying today? The decide model. Basically, how would you react to a hazardous situation or a change in flight? Stress, the different types, and ways to alleviate that stress, along with hazardous attitudes and what the antidotes are for them. Alright, well that wraps up my third presentation, and I'll see you guys in the next one.